talk on this issue. Maybe when Narayan Reddy introduces, you will know his profile and how actively he was involved in the development of the Bhagavad Gita, taking the Bhagavad Gita to the lowest level of people in the society. With this, once again, I thank Guru Maharaj and also welcome all the senior most faculty members. I could see our Bhattacharya from Calcutta, Durga Prasad ji from Hyderabad, Globe Synth people from Calcutta. I could see a lot of people are here. I am very happy to welcome all of you for this program. Now I will hand it over to Reddy Garu.
Okay. Thank you, Professor Nandagopal ji. At the outset, my best wishes on this special day, your birthday. We are very happy to celebrate your birthday.
Oh.
So many happy returns of the day for you. So very good afternoon, all of you. I am extremely happy to moderate a session where Bhakti Vinoda Swami ji is speaking on management and the Gita. Actually, our President, Professor Nandagopal ji, is supposed to moderate this particular session. Due to his severe cough and cold, he could not able to speak. So therefore, I am assigned this particular responsibility. On behalf of him, I am moderating this particular session. I am Professor Narayan Reddy, Regional Vice President, South, Association of Indian Management Schools. Before I formally welcome and introduce our speaker, I would like to say a few words about Association of Indian Management Schools. It is a customary to introduce and briefly present our association to the August gathering. Association of Indian Management Schools is 34 years old, a networking body recognized by Government of India, Department of Education and ISKCON. And our main aim of this particular organization is to represent the management schools issues, challenges, and also provide policy advocacy role on behalf of all the management schools across the country to the stakeholder, particularly ISKCON, UGC, Department of Education, Government of India. Association of Indian Management Schools is having more than 800 institutional members as its members, and the aims has created a unique niche for itself by representing the management institutions across the country, and its flagship programs are regularly we are conducting case study workshops, national level conferences, then regional level conferences, workshops, faculty development programs, and also we support our member institution by providing the financial assistance in conducting the research and also organizing various faculty development programs. Every year, once particularly in the month of August, we all invite and meet and propose to discuss and deliberate on important contemporary topic related to the management education in the country. And in this form, we disseminate the contemporary information on the management education, not only in the country and also across the world, so that we try to alert our management institutions and try to suggest the member institutions to develop contextual pedagogy, contextual curriculum, and also train the faculty members. As a result, management institutions in the country will be the forward-oriented or future-oriented. We believe that, and our representative, President Ames, will we automatically member in All India Board of Management Studies, AICTE, and we also conduct the management admission test in the name of Atma, which is well recognized by the government and also all the state governments. And the AIMS is forging ahead in making its presence felt across the nation and also in the Asian countries. With these few words about the AIMS, it is now my turn to introduce our special speaker today. Swamiji is Bhakti Vinoda Swami. He is inspired by the timeless wisdom of life and its inevitable happenings. Swamiji is an internationally recognized, inspirational and motivational speaker, life coach, and also itinerant monk. He traverses the globe, inspiring people from all walks of life to think higher and inculcate unique spiritual experience beyond what the senses can perceive. Swamiji, born in a Tamil Brahmin family in Hyderabad, presently a Telangana state, Swamiji was a profusely intrigued by the billion-dollar questions of life to which apparently he got no answers till late. He grew up a bright and intelligent student, acing almost every area of the academia. His latent spiritual quest was yet to manifest itself when he chanced upon the enthralling, life-altering book, The Science of Self-Realization, written by His Divine Grace, Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. That seemingly simple literature was his own calling, ignited the spark within, and changed his life forever by dedicating his life to a mission greater than life itself. Swamiji is basically, in terms of other qualifications, actually he is a well-qualified person. He studied from NIT, Trichy, and also the consultant for a while, and ardent representative of this great nation across. And in fact, it is very difficult to introduce such a great person because his profile reads a number of pages and number of paras. In fact, I feel it is a great honor to read this particular profile before the August gathering, who are anxiously waiting to listen to him. And with these few words, I welcome Swamiji to speak on management and the Gita. As we all know very well, the Gita, and no one can effectively interpret Gita than Swamiji's, like the today's speaker and his group of people. And it is a great honor and an opportunity for me as well as for all of us. Please let us listen to him. And if you have any doubt or question to ask Swamiji, please put it in the chat box. At an appropriate time, I would like to raise this issue on your behalf before the Swamiji, and let us listen to him. Swamiji, I welcome on behalf of AIMS and also the participants, and please address the gathering. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Narayana Reddy. Thank you very much, Dr. Ramaswamy Nandagopal ji, my dear friend and comrade, for inviting me here on this very, very august gathering of very learned people, cream in the management institutions. You're giving me this wonderful opportunity for me to be able to interact with you and share some ideas and thoughts, which may be sometimes not so commonly discussed amongst all of you, because I may come out from a completely different perspective. And I want to share those things with you a little bit. Allow me to share my screen while I share this information also with you. I hope you can take a look at my screen while I am doing this for you. The simple idea today of having to get an opportunity to speak with management gurus, I would call all of you, and have principles of the wonderful Bhagavad Gita inculcated and explained in some aspects is something a little strange combination. Because we never know whether management and the Gita are getting together. They are strange bedfellows in one sense. But on the other sense, you'll be amazed to know two things. From my side, I was happy to be a design engineer, a project engineer design, and I had the opportunity to raise one of the first of its kind silicon wafer manufacturing units in the country. And I went through a very intense 5 years of project work and management and experience and interaction with people and engineers and designers and contractors and consulting divisions and architects and whatnot. And in between somewhere there, I also contacted this particular book and I started reading the Bhagavad Gita. And so while I was living a life intensely to do with practical management on a day-to-day affair, I was also able to get introduced to the Gita. They gave me a lot of interesting insights. So much at one point that I thought that people are struggling in this world and I should step off this track and actually understand the Gita more deeply and help people with this. So in one sense, I'm exposed to a little bit of what you're exposed to in practical life. I did my engineering and after that, I had to go through these things. I had enough of an exposure, an intense exposure. And after that, my Gita exposure took me very deeply inside this. And I've been speaking at various forums all over the world and in many places in India. And I enjoy interacting with people and sharing applications of Bhagavad Gita in all walks of life. And I get to learn a lot while I interact with people like you. So thank you very much for this opportunity for me. And I'm looking forward to an interaction with you. In my structure, the topic of management and Bhagavad Gita, I would say, is very, very vast. So since it's such a general topic, I am going to speak a few general overview observations. Then I'm going to specifically narrow down on one and associated aspects of it. And I want to see how it flies with all of you. And then maybe at some other time, we can go down deeper and deeper into other aspects of the Bhagavad Gita and management related knowledge. So, like I explained to you, management and Bhagavad Gita are strange bedfellows, it may seem like. And it may seem like even strange that a monk like me is trying to make inroads into a different field, a more secular field, a more practical field in everyday life. But you'll be surprised that the principles given in the Bhagavad Gita are not archaic. They are not old. Although the Bhagavad Gita was spoken 5,000 plus years back on the battlefield to a warrior, and it answered the questions of the warrior. It's termed what in management you will call a crucial conversation. A crucial conversation has got high stakes, and a crucial conversation has got lot of things that need to happen, and both of them have to come down to various levels. You know what a crucial conversation is. So this is like a crucial conversation that happened on the battlefield. And because the person concerned, Arjuna, was at the arrowhead of what was happening, he was severely affected, and a highly talented person, having a great responsibility on his head. And he had to face a total meltdown of his determination. And he got counseled amazingly on what right management would be at that point of time. So I'm going to focus on some of these things for you. And the first thing I like to touch upon briefly is, when we speak Gita, immediately we're going to talk and think about religious things in our mind. I want to tell you, that is only a small aspect of the Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita is about principles of human life, of interaction with human beings, interaction with other living beings, interaction with nature, interaction with anything and everything that you come across in this world. It's a perspective. I want to, at this point of time, bring in a Western perspective is very, very prevalent in our managerial ethic and the type of management that we do, even in India. I'm mentioning this because indigenous management understanding is lacking. And this is not only in India, in many places in the world. The Western world view, not only of religion, not only of management, not only of organization and everything, has taken over and enveloped. But because of that, we have never given prominence to the amazing amount of information that is available indigenously, especially in a country like India, in the great treasure house of the Bhagavad Gita. So the difference between a Western view and indigenous view, particularly, let's say, India, is something that needs to be considered first. The Western view, your world view, is very interestingly different, which is what all of us have been trained through our education institutions, through our family, and through our interactions, through our workplaces, and through our study and everything to have. That's a predominant worldview. And that worldview is a view that you look at the world and the people as a resource from which you can get something. Mark me, you look at the world in this Western worldview as something up for grabs, something that you can get and possess and gratify yourself. That is the Western worldview. Rather, the indigenous worldview, let's take, for example, India, is very different for persons who know something about the Bhagavad Gita. And that is the culture of this nation. The worldview is very scientific for a person who understands this. The worldview is very relational. The worldview is not impersonal. The worldview is not that you see it as a resource available for yourself, but you see everything interconnected. And you see plenty of resource through interconnection. And you see yourself also as one of the players. You don't see yourself separate from the world that you observe. You see yourself entwined in that. And I'm going to explain to you in one instance what this means. But I want you to understand perspectives, difference in worldview, Western ideas and indigenous ideas. You must also be knowing that research in India in management reflects this. It says repeatedly that our management and the research that we do and the things that we conclude has got a lot to do with Western ideas. And many times it may not be appropriate for our situation and circumstance. Sometimes they're as bad as apples and oranges. I want to quote at this time, a famous Indian statesman, Chanakya Pandit. He said, this is a very important perspective. Why? Atmavat manyate jagat. As you know yourself and see yourself, you will also see the world. I'll repeat. Atmavat manyate jagat means, as you see and know yourself, you will also see the world. So it's very important for us to have a right perspective of ourselves. Let me hold that for a moment. If you've done science and if you've done engineering, which some of you may have, you would have dabbled a little bit in quantum mechanics. And quantum mechanics is so pervasive in science and in technology today. They know that everything we have in technology runs through quantum mechanics. But the amazing thing about quantum mechanics is, although they know it works, but they don't know how it works. Scientists cannot explain how it works, especially when they first discovered, if you remember the Young's double slit experiment, wherein they saw light behaving both as a wave and a particle. And they concluded later, also from other studies, that the observer who is actually attempting the measurement alters the measurement. In other words, according to the observer, the measurement occurs. In other words, the observer becomes an element within what is observed. Now, this is even in science. Classical physics and now quantum physics is talking about it, and a lot of this is not understood, but they know this is how it works. I'm just mentioning that a little bit on the side. Coming back to Chanakya Pandit, he knew this from the Vedic science. And he said, the way you look at it yourself, that's the way you will affect your impression about the world around you. Okay? And this is a similarity between these two things. Now, therefore, it is very important for all of us to actually come to know something about ourselves. That's where comes in the Bhagavad Gita. I want to tell you that I told you that there was a deep dilemma that Arjuna was facing. And the dilemma was to do, first of all, with himself and his relationship with his near and dear ones who were standing on the opposite side of the battlefield. Krishna, first of all, hears Arjuna's arguments as to why he should not be fighting this war. Although he's a warrior par excellence, a top-class, talented warrior. And he is coming to the conclusion that I shouldn't fight this war because these will be the losses, this will be the consequences. And I don't want to face that. And Krishna calls him a fool. He says as Gatasum Agatasumscha Nanusochanti Pandita. You speak like a very learned person, but actually you don't know anything. You're foolish. Because you're opting for non-violence at a place and a time when violence is necessary to manage the situations properly. Now, this will be a very controversial remark, but let's keep it aside. But this is what Krishna told him. And the first lesson he gave him when Arjuna told him, you please counsel me. Accept me as your student and do counsel me because I'm very distraught. I'm not able to understand anything what I should do, what I should not do. First thing, Krishna chastises Arjuna. And then the first thing he instructs Arjuna is about who are you? Let's get this right. He's talking about the war. He's talking about the fact that I don't want to fight the war. I don't want to be a soldier here because there are personal things and there's stakes in it and everything together, and I'm not able to do it. But the first lesson Krishna gives him is, you're a fool. And then he tells him, I'll tell you why. You don't know who you are. That's the root of the whole problem. Because you don't know who you are, or you think you are something which you are not, you are seeing the opposite party also like that, and it is weakening you. You're not getting an understanding of reality as it is, because you don't have an understanding in truth about yourself. So, Having said that, I will revisit this again. In this world, each one of you may be managers, you may be training managers, you may be in leadership positions. But one of the most important things you should know is managing yourself. Otherwise, everything else is a consequence of how you manage yourself. Atmavat manyate jagat. So therefore, the famous statement, charity begins at home. Management begins inside you. This is the first lesson you should learn from Bhagavad Gita. First, set right your understanding of who you are, your perception of who you are, and get to know about how you are leading yourself, managing yourself. Are you in place is the first question that you should ask yourself. Because why? You have people around you who are looking forward to you, leading them. And inside your organization, they're all dependent on your instructions. And you will instruct them according to how you know yourself. In reality, what is the reality of your identity and how you know that? According to that, you will instruct the people in your organization. And although sometimes organizations are doing very good in terms of profits, they don't do very good in terms of relationships. This is one of the biggest problems. And you know that. I don't have to describe it in detail. And the relationship of your organization members with others whom they interact in the world outside, wherein their business lies, wherein their profits lie, also gets affected. And it all starts from each one of them and their own management about themselves. So Bhagavad Gita's instruction is that the other thing is, beyond the people whom you interact for your profits and for your organizational benefits, there is the world outside on which these other organizations and your organization and your people and you yourself have a relationship with. So essentially, it's all about our relationship with ourselves and what we express with the people in our organization and with other organizations we interact with, and with the secular world and the world of matter outside. All these relationships are very, very crucial. That's the crux of the Bhagavad Gita. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna actually explains that you have all sorts of characters in the Mahabharata, and they're all arrayed in the war field. And each one of them is conducting himself according to a certain perspective, a certain understanding, a certain mindset he has about himself and about what he sees. So in the Bhagavad Gita, you'll see three interrelationships very importantly mentioned. It's about you. It's about nature. It's about the people around you. It's about the setting around you and everything. And there is divinity. You may call it God. You may call it a personal God. You may call it an impersonal God. You may call it something divine. You may call it spiritual. I don't want to get into too much of that. But the Bhagavad Gita does say that the supreme divinity is a person. And that person is Krishna. And that is the person who is giving this wonderful talk and information to Arjuna. And he's explaining Arjuna and his interrelationships in this world. And then he brings him to understand his actual interrelationship with the people whom he is warring with. And then he makes him understand why he should take part in this war for his own betterment, for his own growth, and for his own better relationships. So, having given you a basic sliver of what's there in the Bhagavad Gita, which is the question of how you place yourself. Who are you? When you place yourself in society, you're not an isolated, standalone individual. Your individuality, your character, your performance, all is very much interconnected with this world and the people of this world. You don't have a standalone identity on your own, actually. In this world, your identity is defined by your performance, by your relationships and everything. And that identity is only a surface identity. There is a deeper internal identity, which is less corporeal, less physical, and more spiritual. The divinity inside you is core to your identity. This Krishna tells Arjuna first. First understand, you sit on that identity of yours, and then you look at these relationships. Then you'll be in a better position to actually firm up the management of yourself. Because if you make a mistake in that, you'll make wrong choices. And to illustrate that, I will give you an example. I give you an example of Duryodhana in the Mahabharata. As soon as the war was declared, both Duryodhana and Arjuna landed up to see Krishna. Because Krishna had declared already that I will not take part in this war because both the Pandavas and the Kauravas are both my family members. So I won't lift any weapons. I will not take part in the war. He had already declared. But Duryodhana came up and Arjuna came up to Krishna. Arjuna came before Duryodhana. And Duryodhana, as soon as Krishna opened his eyes from his rest, Duryodhana laid claim and said that I came to see you first. You saw me first. And he said, fine, tell me. He said, in what way can I expect help from you in this war? So Krishna very coolly mentioned, in a very smooth way, a proposal, a management proposal to him. He said, this is your choice. You can either have me, which means I don't lift any weapons, I don't fight, I don't do anything. Or you can have my army, my entire Yadava army. You can choose either me or it. Quickly, Duryodhana's mindset was, I'll take the army. He immediately took the army. His mindset was based on resource, material resource. So he quickly opted and said, let me take the army. And then Krishna looked at Arjuna and said, so what about you? Immediately Arjuna said, that's okay if Duryodhana takes the army. I just want you to be with me. I'm okay. My choice is I go for you. You alone, although you don't lift any weapons, if you're with me, I'm fine. Now this decision is what is important. Duryodhana did not have a definition of himself strongly fixed in him. But Arjuna was very well educated and cultured about it. And he chose Krishna. The Duryodhana mindset is what makes you look at even human beings as only a resource. I don't like the idea that you have a HR department and you call human beings human resource, HR. Resource normally is something more than just a human resource, especially a human being. You can have materials, you can have, other things you can claim to be material resources, machinery, etc. But a human being alone, although you can put him in terminologies as a resource, to term a human being as a material resource alone means you're only seeing the material aspect of the human being. There is a lot more to the human being, which is at your disposal. And if you don't recognize it, you will be woefully lacking in your actual estimation of that personality whom you call a human being. And that is happening because you see yourself also as a material resource. That is how we are educated to see ourselves. We see ourselves in the mirror. We see our titles with all our appendages on it. We see our positions. We see how people see us in a material way. And these are all very important to us. But actually, the Bhagavad Gita tells us, you are more than what you are materially. That identity of yours is far, far more powerful. Now, Arjuna knew this. He opted saying that Krishna be with me. I know I will get all the best of resources. And it truly happened that way. Whereas Duryodhana, who taught materially and accepted only the material aspect of it, actually didn't win the war at all. So in our success-seeking ventures that we have, we should be very careful about how we view ourselves and our persons who work with us, giving their resource, their life, and everything. The important lesson to learn is science, technology, management, civilization has come far away. Today, there is a big question mark, especially with artificial intelligence, deep learning, machine learning, robotics, and humanoids and everything that are being created. The big question people are asking is, if machines can do everything that I can do. Recently with ChatGPT, these questions came in again. Previously, there was a robot called Sophia that went around everywhere and became appointed as a citizen of Saudi Arabia. And that robot toured everywhere. And people started asking questions that slowly, these machines can do everything that human beings do. Then what's the use of me? Am I just a machine? Now, this is the problem that comes. A deep lack of self-worth and self-esteem has already started creeping inside people because they don't know who they are. And this is a vital point. This is a crucial point in understanding who we are. Krishna brings this up as the first point for Arjuna to understand, right in the first chapter and the second chapter. And he goes throughout the second chapter, one of the longest chapters with 72 verses, explaining logically, scientifically, religiously, from the scriptures, from the viewpoint of many other aspects. He explains to him how you should understand yourself to be beyond matter and the worth that you have. You see, in artificial intelligence, I often ask these questions when I go to speak to engineering graduates and of great institutions. I ask them this question, how will you understand this? That it is always you and others gauging you on the basis of your material resource that you can produce. How good are you in performing work? How good are you in analyzing this? How good are you in doing this? That's the way your human potential is assessed. Your human resource is assessed. But according to me, my feeling from readings of the Bhagavad Gita, I feel human resource is a derogatory term. At least we should keep it as human being and the material resource that they can provide over and above it. Should separate the material resource that they can provide from the being that they are, the conscious living human being. Because when people are studying artificial intelligence and humanoids and everything, they are trying to study consciousness. What makes a person living? And even in the field of consciousness, you can see the world famous David Chalmers from New York State University was talking about consciousness. He explained, just like I said about quantum mechanics, we know it. We experience consciousness. We are all conscious beings. We work on it. We express ourselves, but we can never explain it through science or through the methodologies that we know. We are stuck with a certain epistemology, a methodology of arriving at what we know that doesn't afford an explanation of ourselves and consciousness. This is such a deep problem. And in the Bhagavad Gita, very simply, Krishna explains this to Arjuna. And he gives an example, just like the sun illuminates this whole universe. Similarly, that entity, that spiritual entity within this body, the self, illuminates this whole body with consciousness. He explains this. So we have a spiritual dimension, a spiritual identity, which we're not looking into at all. But that is the most potent, most powerful aspect and identity of ourselves. And the day we actually take this amazing information and incorporate it within our understanding, as many people have started doing in the world, not only in India, this indigenous idea is being appreciated by many people in different parts of the world. And they're grabbing this information, said, this is going to explain to us many things which we always wanted to know. So if I go back to you on your organization and the managerial structure you have and the duties that you need to perform and your deep interest in actually doing this very successfully, I would say we should adopt relational management. I'm using this as a term myself. It's something that I understood. We have a relationship with everything and anything because we are conscious beings. We have relationship within inanimate matter. We have relationship with. And our relationship with all these things also has got a divine component. A divine component. And when we figure these things inside, we will see that many things work out very wonderfully. There is a certain equation, there is a certain natural flow in this world. When we fall into that chemistry and that equation, and many things becomes much easier for us. Much, much easier for us. I can take a lot more case study and case histories from the Ramayana and from the Mahabharata. But I like to take one in Ramayana. Lord Ramachandra actually worked on relationship management in order for him to be able to fight and overcome the great demon called Ravana, who had taken his wife away. And it's mentioned in the Ramayana very technically that he met with the monkey king called Sugriva. And the first thing they did was to forge a relationship of friendship. You have something that I need, I have something that you need. That let's have a relationship. And you know, in your life also, if you want to market something, if you want to be successful in your product and everything, you need to have a relationship with your clients. And the whole world knows it. And they use relationship in a very short bandwidth of, I'm related to you and I want to have a relationship with you because I need something from you. And the other person also says that I want to have this relationship with you. We have a quid pro quo. You give me something, I give you something. That's the relationship. But in Bhagavad Gita, you'll see a far more advanced relationship also. Beyond this. And work is the result of this relationship. What you want to get done happens when you are relational with people. And relational means you cannot be thinking you are a material resource. Relation means emotion. Relation means friendship. Relation means exchange, sharing. And lots of things happen in relationships. It goes deeper and deeper. So people know that you're feeling a relationship. People know that you are actually putting up a relationship for the sake of you getting something. And sometimes it doesn't work well. But in advanced organizations, I know, I meet with some of them, they have a completely, the organizational key people have a different view on it. They work on relationships with people in their organization. And they make it sure that they are genuine about it. And the byproduct of relationship is good work. Is good work. Now, this is what I mean by saying the Duryodhana mindset. Duryodhana did not have a relationship-oriented mindset. He immediately grabbed Krishna's army. Give me the material resource only. When you look at only the material resource in people, your relationship gets, sort of hindered. But when you actually pay prominence to your relationship with people, in genuineness, you will see the work becomes a byproduct of that relationship. So this relational management starts with a good relationship with yourself first. Don't think that you need to have a good opinion of yourself. You need to think good about yourself. You need to culture your self-worth and your self-esteem. This is the first lesson in the Bhagavad Gita. And I'm very amazed when I read that first, that Krishna focused on this first to Arjuna. Whereas Arjuna was talking about the problem with Bhishma and, Kripacharya and Dronacharya and the relatives and the cousins and the wives of all these people. He said, no, focus on you first. First, do you understand who are you? So I was very amazed that the first step that Krishna took was to focus on asking Arjuna, do you know yourself? And from there, he explains the whole work culture and the work-life balance, which is so amazing, so amazing. So we need to get some foundational principles right. Bhagavad Gita talks about principles. There are two things called principles and details. I think you know about this. Bhagavad Gita is all about principles. These principles have to be remaining the same. But details of how to apply these principles according to time, place, situation, circumstance, that may change. That may change. You see, your love for your mother and your father is a given thing. It's a principle of life. The sun rising on the east is a principle of life that we have seen for ages and ages and ages. It doesn't change. You don't change the principle. But the fact that I have a relationship with my father and mother can remain intact, and there can be details that change. The details that change could be that I have blonde hair and blue eyes because my father is a Swedish person. My mother is from South India. And the detail is that my love for my mother and father remains intact, but I look different from my South Indian mother. I look different from others. I have different tastes. I like pizza. I don't like pakoras. I have all these are details, and they may be different. But the principle is your mother loves you, you love your mother. The sun rises in the east is a principle, but sometimes it is overcast by clouds. Sometimes it's raining. Sometimes in the winter, the sunrise and the sunset timings are different. But there's Uttarayana, Dakshinayana, there's a shifting of the sun. All these are details, but the sun will definitely rise in the east. There's no doubt about it. Like this, Bhagavad Gita speaks about principles. Those principles may change according to details. Our founder, Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, believed in this. And he went all the way with the Bhagavad Gita to foreign lands, to America, and he spoke to all the people these principles. And they took it up. And he, of course, adjusted the details of it according to time, place, and circumstances, how they should be packaged for these people. And he made some compromises on the details, which many Indians did not like, and they found fault with him. But in the end, he became most successful in presenting Bhagavad Gita all over the world. Now we print Bhagavad Gita in 87 languages. The largest publishers in the world. We publish in 87 languages, the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust is called. And he marketed it all over the world. I think the greatest marketing venture is on a subject matter that is so difficult to market. But he marketed it all over the world. It's amazing what he did. And there are people in all walks and forms of life today speaking and talking about it. So I have to summarize what I said today here. I spoke about Western perspectives and indigenous perspective. And I've taken an example of India itself in its indigenous perspective and have seen that, I've compared it and seen that the epistemology, the ontology, the way it is arrived at is very different. But unfortunately, we seem to be applying Western principles in our management even now. But it will do good for us to accept some indigenous principles. And I've taken the Bhagavad Gita as an example. And I've taken Arjuna and Krishna's talk as an example, a crucial conversation. And I've narrowed down on one aspect, that management begins with you. You understanding yourself and managing yourself. And from there, it flows into a very successful step-by-step paradigm. And we have taken a few examples because the time is very short. And I've been asked to finish my session in about 40 minutes and give some time for you, all of you, to frame some questions to me. So having said this, I have rushed through many things, but I'm excited about it. And I may have gone through a little bit fast. But I hope that I've got across myself on this one aspect, a sliver from the Bhagavad Gita. Thank you very much. Om Tat Sat, Hare Krishna. And if you have any questions, I'll be very happy to interact with you, try to share with you.
Thank you very much, Swamiji. And it is really excellent and insightful information you have given to us. And because we can't comment on what you said, but rather we can definitely feel that. We understand that the Bhagavad Gita means it is a very, very complicated thing expressed in 700 verses, which we can't understand. Therefore, we keep away this Gita from day-to-day life. But with your session today, the gist of Gita has, in a simple form, it has reached to all the participants, in those who are participated in this particular session. Without having much difficulty, most of us understood clearly what is the essence of Gita, with the first and foremost word, relationship management. And of course, you touched all those things. In my concluding remarks, I would like to refer those things again. And there are no specific questions as such. However, I have now one or two questions have come from the participants in the chat box. I would, before I raise those questions, may I request you to explain the spirituality of life? That's what you mentioned. We have to illuminate our body with spirituality. Unfortunately, we fail to recognize the role of spirituality, and we are most focusing on materialistic issues that you have mentioned as usual. Would you like to explain a little bit on how to go beyond this with a spiritual mindset? First point, sir. Swamiji, can you comment?
Yeah. Yes, I heard you. Thank you. You see, I've tried my best to be as secular as possible in this presentation. But if you focus and ask me questions on the Bhagavad Gita, I'm a monk, and I'd be very happy to dive deep down and say and give you the spiritual aspects of it. Sure. But let me answer your question. I have given you a hint that we are essentially spiritual personalities, spiritual beings. And the big mistake we make is to assess people only on their material aspect. The material aspect is an external covering of the real life force inside, right? But somehow we are assessing everybody, like I mentioned, human resource means what amount of material capability this person has. But awakening our spirituality will actually enhance our material capability too in an unlimited way. That's the crux of the thing. Capabilities in a person are best tapped when it is coming from inside out. But our education system, our training, everything is from outside in. And so it doesn't reach the deep innards, the insides of a person. But the Bhagavad Gita defines you, first of all, and doesn't pay much importance to the material side of you. It does pay importance, but not so much as it does to your ID. And therefore, that ID is what Bhagavad Gita says, you are a spirit soul. You are the source of consciousness. And you are eternal. There is no birth, no death for you. The laws governing matter don't apply to spirit. Spirit and spiritual laws are a completely different science. The Bhagavad Gita gives you the ABCD of that science. They're first introducing you and telling you that you are an illusion if you think that you are this matter, this body, this mind, this intelligence. You are something far, far more powerful and greater and you should tap into that. Then you can run this machinery very well. You'll have greater control over your mind, your intelligence, your body, your senses, and that's when life becomes amazingly rich. So this is in essence a spiritually led life. This country, India, is the spiritual capital of the world. This is where the Bhagavad Gita is spoken. And here you can learn how to empower yourself spiritually, because that is your true identity. If you plug yourself into your true identity, you become a completely different person.
There is an interesting observation from one of the participants.
Yeah.
His question is, what is the best way to read and understand Gita?
Well, I can teach you the Gita. I run courses on the Gita. I have short courses that introduce you to the essence of the Gita. It's like a 5-session course. It's called Gita Life. Then I have another one that's called a Bhagavad Gita Overview that goes for 1 chapter a day to 18 chapters for 18 days, 18 hours session. Then I can take you to BGO Plus, and then we take you to a full-scale blast study of the Bhagavad Gita, shloka by shloka, that lasts for 300 and odd hours. And we have a whole thing going on. We have an academy. And it is very important for you to learn it from a person who actually practices the Bhagavad Gita, not only from a theoretician. So if you're interested, you can enroll that, and our representatives here can give you more information on that.
Surely. We will communicate the same to the participants. And another question is, though we speak about the ethical aspects, how to be ethically empathic to the others is another observation, a question from one of the participants raised.
Yes, I see here Professor R.C. Bhattacharya has raised that question.
One of the senior
and empathetic is a very wonderful question, Professor Bhattacharya. A very relevant question. When you speak of empathy, you mean putting yourself in the other person's shoes. Empathy is very different from sympathy. Sympathy is feeling something for somebody else's situation. Empathy means I can feel what the other person is going through. That an empathetic response to others means you have to have a good understanding of what that person is going through. That is empathy. And I can see that Bhattacharya ji has got a desire to become more empathetic. To become more empathetic, you have to become less materialistic. The more you see people as material resource, the less empathetic you can be. The more you see people as persons, conscious people, emotions, feelings, a life, and everything, you will see them as persons, and then you can be more empathetic. Seeing people as persons, fully conscious persons, is very important, irrespective of their material resource. That is real spiritual insight. That is explained in the Bhagavad Gita, Pandita Samadarshana. A really learned person will see everybody equally because he sees the spiritual aspect of everybody, which is equal. But the material aspects of people are different. Somebody is tall, somebody is short, somebody is very educated, somebody is very intelligent, somebody is not very intelligent, somebody is very capable, somebody is looking handsome and beautiful. You have varied material resources with everybody. If you judge people through their material resources, there is inequality. But if you judge people on the basis of their spiritual identity, automatically you have equality. So a wise man will see people only on the basis of spirit. That is the real solution to equality, which people are all clamoring in this world. Then you'll become empathetic automatically.
Another important observation, G.
Yes.
How to not get affected by what others say about us.
Others will mostly say about you, about your material aspects only. They will say you're not very intelligent, or you spoke like this about me, that. All these are material aspects. And the fact that you're getting affected by the material aspect is because you also think about yourself like that. You see, Franklin Roosevelt's wife, Eleanor Roosevelt, the famous president of the United States, she made a wonderful comment. She said, nobody can hurt me unless I give them permission. I'll repeat it. Nobody can hurt me unless I give them permission. I am the one who decides how to take in what people say about me. And if I have a different identity about myself, when somebody describes something else which is superficial, I don't take it very seriously. I don't pay credence to it. Right?
Swami, the small observation.
Yeah.
See, divine component. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
I already explained that. That is a spiritual side of you. All spiritual aspects are divine. Divinity means we also see God. Krishna is explaining that he's the source of all divinity in Bhagavad Gita. Aham sarvasya prabhavo mattas sarvam pravartate. Everything originates from me, both material and spiritual. He is the source of all divinity. This material world is coming from that. You know, the climate change problem and all that is because we don't see the divine element in God's creation. We don't factor in the divine element. We just look at it as something natural resource that I can grab and I can exploit and make money and profits out of it. But we don't see the divine element and the balance that it maintains. Right? So because of not seeing the divine element, the spiritual aspect, material life and the civilization has done great blunders. And climate change is one. Different types of other problems that we are having, race, gender, equality, economy, and all that. All that is also a lot related to factoring things in life without the divinity.
Yeah, the small observation, though it is a known thing, that there is a huge difference between what we teach in the classroom is different from what we practically observe in the real life situation. Why this is happening is one question.
Yeah, that's exactly the point. You see, there is a reality out there, and we have a perception about that reality. And in theory, a lot is to do with perceptions. But when you get down into the field, you see that it doesn't work according to your perceptions. Because you're interacting with others who are also working on perceptions. Who are also living according to perceptions. Right? But what is the reality there? Right? What is the reality there? Knowing that, that's why you need to read Bhagavad Gita. And you'll be in a better position to be in grips with the reality. And then life will be enriched and you will live a life with more of reality factored in it. And not with more of Maya or illusion factored in it. Okay? So things are not like what you think it is, because there is something else there which you don't know.
Yes. So Swamiji, as of course the topic is really interesting and a lot of questions and observations may be there. However, because of the lack of time, I would, as a moderator of this session, I would like to share the takeaways from this particular session. My dear participants and the senior academicians who are there in this particular session, Swamiji started with main focus, the perceptual difference between the West and the Indian perspectives of life. And the most important aspect in this session that has come out is relationship management. In modern days, we are talking about customer relationship marketing and customer relationship management. The very rightly, the Gita, in the initial stanzas itself, the Sri Krishna touched the relationship management, as Swamiji rightly mentioned. In that relationship management, first and foremost question is, who are you? The basic question is, we have to understand ourselves first, and we have to manage ourselves first. That's the most important lesson that we learned from this particular session. That's why here, learning, relearning, etc., words which we use in our classes. Here also the very first point Swamiji referred what Sri Krishna said to Arjuna. you don't know who are you, is a basic question that has made the Arjuna to realize how small he is in front of the Sri Krishna. So most important point is we have to realize ourselves that who am I and how I have to understand myself and how I have to manage myself is the most important point that is mentioned here. Similarly, next important issue is not only yourself, then we have to move to ourselves and from ourselves to beyond. That's what Swamiji very rightly said. You, your nature and the divinity with whom you have to go and maintain the relationship with this. Here again, the most important point is everybody, most of the time, everybody thinks about the identity. Swamiji very rightly said, your identity will come from your performance. So, we have to perform. Without performance, you may not have any identity. Therefore, we have to realize ourselves and we have to realize our responsibility and also accountability. These two things will exhibit our contribution that will lead to specific identity in the process. And third most important lesson that I learned and Swamiji shared with us is mindset of the person is very, very important. By giving an excellent example of Duryodhana versus Arjuna, while choosing who wanted what, material resources versus the person, men, money, and materials. That's how we teach in the classroom. More than materials, men are more important. More than the men, the most important person is very important. That's why Arjuna opted the Sri Krishna to be with him. That is why he won the battle. So therefore, mindset of the person is very, very important. Third most important point Swamiji expressed in the relationship management is, relationship is not just a typical quid pro quo. That is what we are talking in the lighter side in the present environment. It goes beyond that material exchange of things. It is more emotional, it is more bonding, and it is more of friendship. That's by quoting Sugriva and Rama in the Ramayana. Another important, excellent example and greatest learning for all of us. And fourth important thing is principles and details. The relationship between the principles and the details that goes beyond the individual things. So these are the four important things that I understood from this particular thing. These four things are very, very essential in our day-to-day life that has very rightly seen in the form of Gita as Swamiji narrated. And it is the customary for me on behalf of Association of Indian Management Schools to express our gratitude and sincere thanks for accepting our invitation to be with us and share your knowledge with us. Swamiji, we are really enlightened with your presentation on the Gita, and we are developing interest in reading and understanding Gita day by day. And with your trust, ISKCON and the various elements under your leadership and under the Swami Prabhupada's divine guidance, you're all spreading the fragrance of the philosophy of Gita, and we are also slowly coming and understanding what it is, and we are also trying to contribute little bit as a management thinkers in the country, and we together will go a long way in making our country a spiritually quotient and divinely influencing society. And I am sure that one day this entire world will be influenced by the Indian philosophy under the guidance of the Gita. So thank you very much, Swamiji, for being with us. And we also request you to be with us at different timings so that we will be enlightened with your presence, and my management fraternity also will get benefited with your presence now and then. So I sincerely thank you and your organization, because you are not only the preacher and motivator, you are also practitioner. You have established a number of centers in different parts of this country to practice what you preach. So that is what it is explained in your profile also. We are really delighted. Thank you very much for being with us. I'm also thankful to Bharatraj Singh, R.C. Bhattacharya, Durga Prasad, our AIMS president, Professor Nandagopal, Professor Mastan, and others also joined. Very senior people joined in this particular session to listen to you. I am sure that all my participants are going with a lot of satisfaction, with some enlightenment. Thank you very much, Swamiji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, all of you, for your patience, for your attention, and for your interest. I'll be very happy to help you. I put my email on the chat. If there's anything that I can do for you, for your students, for everybody else. And Nandagopal ji also knows me and is in touch with me. And there's another person here, Krishna Kumar ji, also was in touch with me. And I'll try my best to help out with whatever little way that I can.
Thank you very much, Swamiji. And
Thank you. Thank you.